Welcome to A Second Chance at Life. I'm your host, Arvilla Beckworth, and today I have an awesome interview. You guys know every time I tell you I got someone to talk to you guys, bring you guys some knowledge, something that I don't know, you know it's going to be definitely worth listening to. Today, I want to bring my girl, Jen Abans, on. Now, before I speak her up, let me just bring her beautiful face on and we'll get started. Jen, hey
Hey,
girl, how are you today?
I am blessed and highly favored and super excited to be here.
Thank you for coming on. Um, you have a wealth of knowledge, and I'm not going to start right here. Let me just properly introduce you. Jen is a mindset and emotional health coach, along with she works with public speaking. She has a great speaking voice, but she also has Mind on a Mission, along with the book, Mind on a Mission: The Power of Healing What Was and Stepping into What Could Be. And if you're watching this live on YouTube, she got the book in front of us. Jen, please tell my listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so as you wonderfully said, I am a mindset and emotional health coach, and I actually added the emotional health component to my coaching, I'd say maybe about a year ago. Uh,
Okay.
I did this because I believe that mindset and emotional health are like wonderful dance partners.
Mhm.
Mindset is what is going to help you attain whatever it is that you're aspiring to get to, right?
Right.
So, the premise behind Mind on a Mission is we all have the desire to get to the destination of growth and fulfillment. That looks different for everybody, but that's where we're all trying to go. The mission is trying to take us to be the best version of ourselves and to truly live the life we desire while building our business.
Right.
Now, any entrepreneur can tell you easier said than done. So I believe that the emotional health component also gives you the staying power to continue to maintain your success and to continue to stay on the road and not hit a lot of those detours on your mission.
I love that. And what inspired you to write Mind on a Mission?
So, what inspired me in that particular time was I had already started coaching. So, I had these weekly Facebook lives I was doing every Wednesday just to talk about living the life you desire while building your business and how important it was to start with a strong foundation of your mindset. Because, much like building a house, if you don't have the proper foundation, sure, you can build a house. But when times get tough, when the weather starts to beat you down, AKA life, is your house going to be able to sustain the wear and tear? So I really wanted people to understand how important mindset was. Now, one of the nicknames I have in my business, okay, is the bullshit bulldozer. And that comes from people that have followed me because of my authenticity to continue to show up and kind of just air myself out and put my grievances on Front Street for others to see. So to get to what inspired me to write that, I did want to try to paint the picture of a meme for the people that are just listening that I saw. So what it was a man at a construction site who had some sand and gravel behind him. He took off his shirt, he opened the Corona bottle, and he laid on the gravel and made it look like he was at a beach. And the meme was like, in not so many words, social media will have you effed up and everything ain't always what it seems. So I tried to build my brand on the face of how do you continue to keep going when life is life in you? And I think that one of the struggles for entrepreneurs is to continue to go. It's almost like your car tire busting on the road. It's like you're just driving, you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden something comes, and now you just shook. You know, what are you going to get back in the car again, or is that experience just going to completely deter you from what you were doing? So during the time that I wrote the book, I was suffering a lot. I was in a really bad place. I was hurting. I was suffering. I was working a 9 to 5. I had already spent time and effort and money
Mhm.
into building my business. And now my whole life started to change. And again, they call me the bullshit bulldozer. So even though everything was going wrong, I said to myself, all right, what is the one thing that I know without a shadow of a doubt I can do right now,
Right.
in spite of life happening? And it's so funny because people that really know me, if you watch my lives during that time period, I did not talk about relationships. I did not talk about certain things because I was in the thick of it. So I stood with talking about what I knew at the moment. However, I decided to write this book in real time. So a lot of people write the book after they come out of the experience. I started to write the book in the middle of the experience because I knew that when my viewers or my listeners, my followers, when they are suffering in that moment, is like you hindsight is beautiful thing, right? But when you're in it, what are you gonna do when you're in it? When you're depressed, what are you gonna do when you're in it? When you don't want to work, when you don't want to be seen, when you're embarrassed, when you feel less than, when you ain't have a self-esteem, what are you going to do? And one of the things I say in the book was I didn't know how the hell I was gonna get out this situation, but I knew that someone would find their salvation in my struggle.
Mm.
So I wrote, and just to say this, I was really bad. Again, I was doing a lot of things that many people do to find temporary relief in the storm. So putting myself out there, you feel me? Smoking it away, sleeping it away, Netflixing it away, eating it away, sexting it away, drinking it away, all of that. But I would go to bars and I would write on napkins. I would be jacked up on my sofa, having a drunk moment, speaking in voice memos into my phone, just because I wanted to relate on that level to any person out there that was a mind on a mission and wanted to step out of what they currently going through into what they could be.
Oh, I love that. And you talked about your struggle with depression and feeling hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
What did it take for you to turn your breakdown into a breakthrough?
For me, it was partially, like I said, thinking about that person. I remember that when I first started my breakup, I went to YouTube to find certain ways to cope, certain podcasts, just to try to find comfort in my situation. You know, just to hear somebody say, "Yes, I've been depressed. I remember I was throwing up. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. But this is what I needed to do." Because let's be honest, in a perfect world, right? In my situation, I was still working with my ex. In a perfect world, I would have just got up and quit after that. But we can't do that. So my driving hope in that was like, how can I help another individual see the light out of the tunnel that I was in? You know, how can I get this other person that feels like, damn, now what? Now what am I going to do? Here I am. It's like, no, you got to understand that social media will have you messed up, and social media will have you thinking that everybody's life is perfect. And I did not want to hide that. I wanted to show people that you can deal with depression and still function. You can have anxiety and still function. You can be a mess and a work in progress, and that's authentic, it's truthful. And I just felt like at that particular moment there was this preservation of just only trying to show the right side, the good side, the bright side. But it's like, nah, man, you have to understand. It goes back to that wonderful dance between your mindset and your emotional health. So for people that don't know what emotional health is, and sometimes people get it twisted. I know there's memes or things like that, like I don't care, I don't care, to hell with you, to hell with this. And it's like, nah, man, we all have emotions. So emotional health is just the management of your emotions. And that's also another driving force behind the power of healing what was and stepping into what could be. Because what people don't understand most of the times is situations that you might have encountered younger in your life, when you don't address it, that creates adult trauma for you. That creates barriers in your adult life that prevent you from doing things. And I didn't want to feed the false narrative that you're weak because you're depressed, or you're weak because you have anxiety, or I didn't want to drum and be in agreement. There's power in the tongue. You feel me? I'm a God-fearing woman.
Yes, that's
And
true.
there's so many people that will continue to tell you that you can't do things, you know? I do want to give one gem for somebody out there that probably feels that way right now. You got to understand that there's going to be people that will tell you you can't make a difference in this world because they don't see what you see. They don't see your vision. I never lost sight. While some people might look at it like, damn, Jennifer, you putting yourself on Front Street. You're talking about your drinking. You're talking about your crying. Whoop, de, whoop, de, whoop, de, whoop. There's somebody out there just like me. A lot of my crying, I used to cry in the bus and on the train. Because in New York, people really ain't phased by that. So they really don't pay attention to you. But the point is, is to keep a mask up, right? Sometimes around the people that are around you. Like, no, like I wanted to go ahead and tell people it's okay that you don't see what I see, because this one person, if there was one person that picked up this book and felt comforted and felt hopeful and felt recognized and felt seen, that was that. And then you're also going to have the person in this world that tells you you can't do something, and this is the one that's really scary. This is the one you got to be fearful of. Somebody that will tell you you can't do something because they're afraid. They know you're going to succeed. Can I get an amen?
Say that. Say that.
So I just
Say
want to say
that.
to that person out there, where if you're struggling with depression or you're struggling with hopelessness, just try to look at that as a tool in your tool belt, as opposed to people have tried to project that to be a weakness on you. Don't let that stop you from doing your dream. Don't let that stop you from going after what you know you were put here to do.
Ooh, girl, I love that. You have said so many gems in that. And the one thing that I must say, that the thing that holds people back from healing is letting go of their past. What is one way someone can start the healing process? Because sometimes that past can get a hold of you and it can enable you from doing things, whether it's coming out of your shell or healing or even going to the next step. Could you
Mhm.
give us just one thing that would help?
I think that sometimes, we're afraid to just let go. We're afraid to heal because the expectations that we put on other people. And actually, let me see if I can find it right here. I had said one line here. I'm trying to see if I see it in my book, but I was basically saying how, here we go. Expectations can be a powerful tool when it comes to yourself and goal setting, because you can control your dedication, your commitment, your work, and your effort. When you place expectations on another individual, the truth is you can't control that, and you are basing your expectations on how you feel they should act. So,
Mm.
why is that important to our healing? Because I can go ahead and tell myself I am not going to meet new people no more. I had that. Every time I let new people into my life, they only want one thing. Well, what's the environment that you're in? And I say that because if I would have put myself into a position that I gotten so hurt by others and what I have witnessed, and false friendships, or people just only being around me at the moment for what they could get, it wouldn't have allowed me to network with people such as yourself that match the new season that I'm in, the new environment that you're in. And sometimes you need to, sometimes prolonging of your healing is staying in the same place. So what do I mean by that? I went to therapy, and now I am Latina. For those that cannot see me, I'm Puerto Rican and I'm Argentinian. And in people of color world, what goes on in this house stays in this house, or we're taught in order to be a strong Latina or a strong Black woman that you need to carry everything on your back. There's no room for you to, how you gonna walk around carrying shame and carrying pride and carrying neglect and it's too much. So I decided to do what was right for me, and I decided to go to therapy, right? And why do I bring this up? It was helpful in having an environment where I felt like I did not have to defend someone when I was telling my story, when I
Mhm.
was telling my truth, right? Because let's be honest out there, you might have a man that did you wrong. You might have a girlfriend that's acting shady grady. You tell your mother, you tell your sister, and you're afraid that next time you bring that person up, it's
Right.
gonna be like, well, he ain't the one for you. Well, ain't she do this? Da, 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 da. And we need to understand that people are just people. So for me, I've also come to the realization that by allowing myself to go through the therapeutic process for a little while, and you don't have to stay in therapy the entire time, guys. Like I go to therapy for situations. So I don't stay in therapy every day, every year, every month. I find myself gravitating more towards it when I have more of a difficult situation. And
Mhm.
what I want to say to the listeners out there is that my old school people, you feel me? My grandmama, my auntie, my mama and them, let's say they might not do what I've done because they were taught differently,
Mhm.
but it also teaches the next generation because now I'll hear my mama on the phone with a friend of hers whose child or something is acting out, and she'll say, well, Jen went to therapy. Jenny tried this, so you might not try that, but now you can give somebody the opportunity to witness what that can
Mhm.
do for you. So when it comes to healing and letting go of your past, sometimes you need to try, create a lane that is your own, because we got to understand, and this is no shame to them, but the people that raised us, sometimes they didn't know another way, and perhaps their coping mechanism at that time is what served them. It's okay if you find a different way to serve yourself.
Mm.
And I also, journaling. I would say journaling because a lot
Love
of people,
journaling. Mhm.
honest, that helps in the healing process. If you allow yourself to journal your emotion at that moment, what you feel, and then you come back to it clear headed, like a week later, even if you don't want to go to therapy, that you'll find a lot of clues. You'll find blues clues in your own writing.
That's so true. Yes.
So I would say the two things, if you're open to it, try therapy. There's so many options now to do it online, to do it with, you don't have to go in person. You can choose different people, different arrangements of who you feel serves you correctly. And if you're not down for that, at least try journaling, because again, even I hate to say it like this, but a lot of times, sometimes your drunk little writing will give your sober man thoughts, and it'll show what you truly aspire to have. Maybe you feel like you don't belong in this world, that you don't serve a purpose. Maybe you're just reaching out to the wrong audience.
Mm.
Just
Well, you said a
saying.
word, like I
I'm
said,
just saying.
that is the truth, and you're so right. Being women of color, what stays in our home, what's done in our home does stay in our home. And you're right, with our ancestors and our grandparents, they didn't learn those coping mechanism of journaling and therapy. So of course they didn't pass it on to us
Yes.
for us to go ahead and do, so that it's okay. So yeah, it is up to this newer generation to acknowledge that we see other races going to get help freely and not
Uh-huh.
worry about it, and not think twice about it to get their healing. So why are we stunting our growth and healing because we think we should be embarrassed or ashamed, or it doesn't happen in our household? So
And again, they don't show that on social media.
mm-mm.
So how are you to know? And many people today use social media as the guide which we use to travel, as our GPS, so to speak. And it's very, it can actually hinder you from
Yeah.
making the strides you need to, because you think you know what's going on, and you don't know if that celebrity goes to a therapist. You don't know if that celebrity does this. Like, look at Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
He does commercials for Talkspace, right? But
Mhm.
one would look at him and say, oh, he's an Olympic swimmer and he's a celebrity and he should be okay and he should have this. And it's by whose standards?
Right.
That's all.
Right. And along with, we talk about mindset, self sabotaging and imposter syndrome are some of the biggest mindset setbacks. How
Mm-hmm.
can you take something like this, like negative setback, and turn it around? So I know for me, sometimes imposter syndrome can be a tough one for me because I get into that mind funk that I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe what God is showing me, or I don't believe what's in front of me or my capability.
100%, 100%. And see, that's again, that's why I think it's so important to not only teach, my movers, that's why I call my tribe members, not only about their mindset, but the fact that it has to deal with emotional health too, because a lot of times our emotions will have us feeling like there's something wrong with us and we're broken and we need to be fixed. But the truth of the matter is, negative thoughts, right? It's mindset.
Ooh.
Negative thoughts create negative emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Negative emotions in turn make you start to exhibit negative actions: drinking, smoking, procrastination, binge watching, binge eating, all of that. And then it causes you to lose the ability to create and the ability to grow, the ability to progress. And I knew that. So what I kept saying, and I even wrote it in my book, was like, maybe at this time I don't have all the answers on how to fix all of these issues,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew that I can focus on what was going on now in my situation, in my hurt, in my pain, and how would I use that
Right.
to help someone else so that my pain wasn't in vain.
Right.
It's like, okay, Jennifer, maybe you're having a drink now and you don't want to go online with your words slurred and all of that type looking crazy. But what can you, instead of looking at yourself like, oh, damn, you let your business go, you're not going online the way you need to, you're not showing up the way you should be.
Mm-hmm.
Hold up, hold up, hold up. How can you take this negative experience and use it as an answer key for someone else's struggle? And that's how I was able to kind of always keep it in check. Yes, I still felt sad because I had to say goodbye to my vision of a future in a romantic sense, in a family sense. I had to say goodbye. It was scary, right? Because I was part of a couple identity.
Mm-hmm.
I had an identity crisis. And maybe, that's something I want to say to people out there too. you know you might feel like everything is negative towards you and it's a setback, but setbacks are setups for your comeback. So all right, cool, I'm in this situation right now, but what can I do with it? Am I just gonna sit down and die, or am I gonna do something? And that's why I said, even though I knew I couldn't show up online inebriated or messed up like that, what could I do? What could I do? And most people don't even know this, but I ended up losing my job a couple of months after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I already had my book written. So when I lost my job, and this is something people need to know. I now do, but I had nobody that ever read. I never knew a person that read a book. I didn't know anything about publishing a book. I didn't know anything about editing it. And I need somebody to really listen to this, because I don't want you to allow your dream to die. Okay. Somebody's listening to this now and they got a dream and they're like, well, dang, maybe Jen did this because she knew, no, I ain't no shit. So now I have a bunch of people that can help me. And I know people that are authors and stuff like that, but I did not know. All I kept saying was two things I never let go of. This is going to be the answer to somebody's prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I'm going to create the book or how I'm going to get it out there. But if I don't create it, there's nothing to put out there. So if you're finding yourself in this space right now, and the time is going to pass anyway. That's another gem I got for you. I say this to people all the time. If people laugh because it's almost like a answer hidden in plain sight, but I tell people to take the risk. Why should you take the risk? Because you already know the life that you're living if it doesn't work out. And that's what I need. Another thing I need y'all to understand when it comes to these negative setbacks and these negative feelings you have, you already know the life you're living. Most of us are already sad in the space we're in. We're looking to elevate, we're looking to grow, we're looking to get on a mission because we're tired of being parked up where we are. And that's cool and that's fine, but with that being said, make sure you don't lose sight of the fact that you can still do something with the situation you're in. And if it doesn't work out, like, think about this. When I first started my business, I was working a 9 to 5, and I just felt like a cog in the wheel. I felt like I got up every day with just enough time to get ready to get out of my house. And then you start to feel sad as you get closer to work. And then you're sitting there at work and you're like, damn, I can't wait to get home so that I could really work on something that does my heart and da 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 da. And I want to say this because some people will wait until the right time to get started. I don't know what the hell the right time is. The right time is when you decide. But I just only want to say that because the time is going to pass anyway. So today, person out there, if you have an idea, get a notebook, start writing these things down. Stop playing yourself. Stop. The time is just gonna pass. The time is gonna pass. Many entrepreneurs, they want to start off their business with a photo shoot. They want to start off their business with a website. They want to start off their business. Nah, the business starts with your mindset, fam. So if you want to start a business today and you're like, no, I can't do this because ABC, your homework assignment tonight is to ask yourself, where did ABC come from? Who told you ABC? Did your mama tell you ABC? Did your daddy tell you ABC? Did your pastor tell you ABC? Did your boyfriend tell you ABC? Did your girlfriend, your sister? Who told you ABC? Who told you you can't be an entrepreneur? Who told you you can't be a coach? Who told you you can't run an online business? Who told you that? Because once you start to figure that out, that's the stepping stone to working on your mindset. And any successful entrepreneur is going to need a solid mindset if they want to stay in the race.
And back on mindset, mindset does play a major factor in any transformation.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get people to believe in the change, especially when they're unfulfilled?
That is hard. But for me, I will say part of it is journaling has been really helpful to me because you get to come back and see where you were. Okay. One thing I want to encourage people to do, and this is actually something I share with my clients. So this is like an actual proven thing that I teach that you can take with you. You need to make a time to look at the things that you've accomplished. So right now we're in September. I want everybody here to just fast forward and look at the past 6 months of your life. Take a piece of paper and write down some of the things we have done. Why do I say that? Because we are in a society where you do one thing and you got to move on to the next thing. You do one thing and you got to move on to the next thing. You do one thing, we don't take stock in what we do. So we don't see like an end.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps seeming further and further and further and further away. So what are you like? Well, I didn't really do any major accomplishments. Again, that's because that's what the clients always tell me. That's the first thing I always hear. But it's like, think of the small things. Did you say that you were going to get on a free training to learn something? Have you done that? Have you taught yourself a new skill set on YouTube? A lot of people don't like to read, but books are the cheat code. If you're not going to read a book, then get an Audible. Listen to that. I used to commute 4 hours a day to and from, like, in the course of a day. So part of the transformation had to take place during my commute. What I would listen to, what I would read. Same thing. People were like, oh, I can't take a pen and a paper when I'm on a bus and da da da. So voice memos on the iPhone, notes section on my iPhone, have been integral parts of my growth while I'm commuting, while I'm doing things to help me further along my goals and to help, with the transformation. And when I was feeling unfulfilled, I just started to really think about the life. It's like I felt God put into me a picture of what I can be and what I can see. And I just needed to make sure to nourish that on a daily basis. Meaning that even if you tell yourself, today I'm not creative, today I don't feel like doing things, that's okay because every day you're not going to want to. For any entrepreneurs out there, it depends on the type how you flow with it. Maybe it's TMI, but especially for my ladies, sometimes lately I've been taking a look at like my period cycle because I feel like it helps me produce better work. So what do I mean by that? Some people want to call it the phases of the moon. Whatever you want to look at it, but I realize that there's certain parts within a month that I am more creative, or my skin looks better and I want to be on camera more, or there's times where I just want to do busy work and I don't want to be seen. So what I can say for you too is kind of just look at if you're going to be an entrepreneur, some of the things we do are so embedded in us because we're used to being employees and we're used to doing things a certain way that you need to remind yourself when it comes to your business, you don't have to quote unquote do things a certain way. You don't have to make Mondays the day where you do this if you don't want it to. Will you get your goals accomplished by the end of the week? Cool. Then you can maneuver things where you got to go. But what I would do is just to, like I said, first make that little list of your accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be small things like today. This will be an accomplishment coming on this podcast. Why? Because I got to meet a new audience. I got to interact with one of my faves. And, it's just a stepping stone in the right direction towards my business. So that's what I want to say. There's these little accomplishments that we don't give ourselves credit for. Let's take it. Everybody's not an entrepreneur. Maybe you've been slacking on your health. Maybe you really have not taken care of yourself, so you feel tired, you feel lethargic, you don't feel good. You lost that 5 pounds or you lost 3 pounds. Why should that not be celebrated? And that's what I want to tell somebody. Maybe you used to get up all the time at 12 o'clock because you were depressed. Now you decided to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and start with prayer. That is an accomplishment. So I just really want to urge that person out there to take your power back and understand that small steps lead to like a long distance. So in even little tweaks in your transformation, if you do that, start today, write today on a piece of paper where you are at, date it, and look at where you are 6 months from now. For real, for real. And I guarantee you, there's not one client I have not brought through, and I've gotten resistance. I have people, oh Jen, I ain't gonna have nothing. I ain't gonna have nothing. No, no, no. Get off this call and really think about what I'm telling you. And everybody has come back with a list that they are proud of. And my hope is that you will do that for yourself too.
Now, with that gems you just dropped, sometimes it's so hard to see our potential because, like you said, we don't write things down. We don't take the small steps we get as wins.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know if you need a mindset makeover?
First thing I would say is reflection. That's really, really the first place. And again, something about journaling it, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, are overthinkers. So there's just so much going on in our heads. And I feel that a lot of time, even if I talk out loud to God or if I write it, it's like I hear it. I digest what I'm saying and what I'm feeling in a way different way than I would before. So first thing I would say is to reflect. So let me give you some stuff that'll help you. Think of the times that you set out to do something, right? And then maybe you quit before you could see an outcome, good or bad, because that's the key thing. A lot of people it might be a clear indicator that you need a mindset makeover because you start something and you don't finish it. Why is that? Because for me, I ain't gonna hold you. I had a friend who used to laugh at me. He used to tell me, you're afraid of success. And I used to think that was so funny. He's like, I never met a woman that's more. And he used to just crack on me. But for me, and hopefully this will free somebody, I realized he was right. And part of that was when the success started to happen, when people started to see me as this mindset coach, when people started to see me as the bullshit bulldozer and really just get behind the movement of Mind on a Mission, right? Because Mind on a Mission takes 3 characteristics. You got to be determined, persistent, and courageous. Mind you, I didn't say you got to be a man. You got to be a woman. You got to be black, white, Latino. You got to be straight. You got to be gay. You got to be already earning money. No. Mine on a mission really does start with you and your determination and your persistence and your courage to say, I'm going to embark on this mission to a more fulfilling life and the best version of myself. And where I come in that is I'm your GPS, but it's going to be up to you to drive. So, again, reflect and think about that, because sometimes it could be good or bad. We just won't continue the project. We won't see something all the way through. So think about that. Look in notebooks. There's two of the most freaking wealthiest places that dreams go to die is your notebook and the cemetery. The notebook because you keep writing them and you don't go back to handle anything, and the cemetery because you never took the chance. That goes back to what I said earlier. If you don't like what's happening, you can go back to living this life. When they've interviewed people in the AKA in the retirement homes, old folks home, whatever you want to say, when they've interviewed people, most people's regrets are the chances they didn't take, not the chances they did. And when you're there 70 something, 80 something, you're going to wish that you at least tried. I've done so many things. Some of them hit, some of them didn't. Some of them worked at the time that it was meant to work. But I can't sit here, and I'm about to be 40. I can't sit here and think of things that I let pass me by. You know what I'm saying? Life turns out differently. Maybe I'm not married. Maybe I don't have a child at this time. However, I did what I wanted to do. I took the trips. I took the job opportunities. I took the paid gigs. I took the non-paid gigs. So all of that to say, I would start with just your reflection and your self-inventory. And another question to ask yourself is, what was my train of thought that led me to quit? So for example, did I not think I can do affiliate marketing? Or did somebody tell me, oh, that's pyramid scheme, you need to get out of it, you shouldn't do that, da, 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 da. Why did I do it? Why am I not coaching if I feel that I should be a coach? Is it because somebody told me in a family, oh, you always talk too much, oh, you just saying this, oh, you just saying that? Because a lot of times if you go back to that, you'll realize it wasn't even your train of thought that prevented you from quitting. And then last but not least, are you quick to blame others? All these three things are things that you might need a mindset over. Are you quick to blame others? Because you're an accountability strategist, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, if you're quick to blame others, that excuses you from taking what? Accountability
Accountability. You know
and
it.
responsibility.
Right.
So I would say that those would, if you find yourself always, because you know what, you don't even got to tell nobody. How about that? You don't got to tell nobody. But if you realize, okay, y'all, we'll keep it quiet. We'll keep it between me, you, and Arvilla. Okay. If you happen to notice that you keep blaming people, it goes back to the same thing I told you about expectations. I expected my mama to support me. I expected my brother, my cousin, my sister. I expected expectations. When you expect somebody else to act a different way, that can deter you. This is your life, your mission, your car. Your mind is the vehicle. What you put into it, good and bad, is the fuel. So when it comes back to negative thoughts and negative emotions, why is our default state always to operate in the negative? Why could we never see us as saying my default state is that I'm relaxed? That's what I, when it comes to my anxiety and stuff like that, I had to do things that would put me back in a default state of relaxedness. So like breathing exercises, or taking a minute to ground myself. Like, okay, I hear the lawnmower, I smell the grass,
Yeah.
I can hear my heart beating in my ears. Taking a second to acknowledge those things had helped with my anxiety because it was very crippling for me. So all of these things should be able to help you and should be key indicators to you that, you know what. And one other thing I just want to say, when you come to the realization, don't blame yourself, because guilt is
Ooh,
a
it's hard.
useless emotion
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to rebirthing a new you, when it comes to putting your mind on a mission, when it comes to healing what was and stepping into what could be, please, please, please don't ring the bell on the bus. Do not get off at the stop. Guilt, acknowledge it. All right, Jen. All right, Arvilla. All right, listener. I may have been able to do this a couple of months earlier if I didn't sit on my ass. Because that's going to happen. I just want to warn you right now. When you sit there and you realize you need a mindset makeover, you are going to feel a little guilt about the things that you felt you should have done quicker, sooner. You should have did it a different way. You should have listened. Maybe your friend offered you an opportunity. You turned it down. And now it's like, no, 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 no. Acknowledge that. That means you see it. Okay, so that's a win. Put that on your accomplishment list. Oh, snap. I did reflection. I noticed I needed a mindset makeover. Now I'm determined to do what I got to do to fix this. That is an accomplishment. So you could already see in this one interview how you can start to change the thinking pattern that you have. And that ultimately is how you'll get on the highway of, success.
Those is gold nuggets right there. I mean, like I said, you don't, when you hear it, you don't recognize it. You like, okay, this is all it takes to do a mindset makeover. We overcomplicate things, and like you said, especially being a business owner, you overthink. So
Mm-hmm.
something so simple as what you just told us, we'll take that and have made 10 different answers out of the one thing you just taught us throughout this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah, and it's scary. Anything new is scary
Yes.
sometimes. Sometimes we fear what we don't know. And just just don't, I think the one last thing I definitely want to leave you guys with sometimes is don't let somebody else's expectation of where your life should be or where you should go dictate that, because whether you love your man or you love your children, there's one to a box when we leave this world. Sure, you could get put in the same plot next to your family, but there's one to a box. So, in order to really live your authentic best life, in order to really continue to inspire others, you are going to have to start with being true to yourself. And I just pray that anybody that's on the end of this broadcast that was in a situation where maybe you really got on yourself for not doing what you had to do in the beginning, or the change, the choices you made. Sometimes we're just products of our environment, and what we do in a particular season and a particular environment in our lives, that works for the moment, and it does serve you for the moment. But there comes a time where you need to adjust your thinking pattern, adjust the people you hang out with, adjust your own limitations in order to really just get the most out of your life.
Now, last but not least, please tell my audience where they can connect with you online and also show your shirt.
Woo woo. Okay, so Mind on a mission, right? So it's my little brain, it's my little guy. Name is Max over here, right? Because it could be Max like a man, it could be Maxine, you don't know. But on the mission to go where you gotta go. And the reason the brain was so important is because there's no limitations on you. It don't matter. Again, man, woman, gay, straight, just starting, somebody that feels their aka air quotes for people that can't see me, too old. You can always put your mind on a mission to just get a new journey, a new destination started. So, how you could connect with me? If you want to go ahead and actually take a look into my story, and it's called Mind on a Mission: The Power of Healing What Was and Stepping into What Could Be, and you can find it on Amazon. And what this does is it's a half memoir, half self help, written in real time about some struggles I faced in 2019. Things like, struggling to let go of a long term relationship, self medicating, suffering from anxiety, depression, damaged self worth, intrusive thoughts, and self sabotaging behaviors. You could go ahead and pick that up. You can go to www.jenabans.com and sign up for my mailing list, where I deliver insightful and actionable tools and tips to help you get your mind right and mission ready. And then last but not least, I also have a podcast out called Spreading Dope Vibes. Okay, now, so what that does is it's pretty much the sister to Mine on a Mission. It talks about entrepreneurship, mindset, and emotional health. However, for my entrepreneurs out there, I'm also introducing different elements such as business or other people's flights. For example, I have a friend I'm going to invite there that started off as an entrepreneur and then decided she didn't want to be there anymore. And that's a story I want to tell because I don't want somebody to feel like they failed, again, air quotes,
Mhm.
if they took an opportunity and realized it wasn't right for them. There's strength in going after those opportunities, and we can always go back to what we know if it doesn't work. But if it does, oh, the gift that you will be giving yourself and ultimately people in this world. So you could find Spreading Dope Vibes. It's on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And again, if you go to www.jenabans.com, there's also a link there so that it could get you directly there.
And I'll make sure I'll have all her links in the show notes. If you didn't catch them, if
Whoop,
you didn't
whoop.
get a chance to write them down, all her information will be there. And Jen, I want to
Yeah.
thank you so much for being so transparent and dropping the knowledge you dropped today. Because sometimes we do get in our own way, mindset, sometimes that self-sabotage, the imposter syndrome, getting out of our own way, it happens. So it's good to know that there is steps that we can take to do just that, get out of our own way and become a better person.
And I just want everybody to know, it's okay to look to people for an example. It's okay to have people you look up to, but you can carve your own lane. You do not have to be like everyone else. One thing that is really big about my brand and I'll never change, and I love it, and some people think that maybe it's too much, but I love to show the climb up the mountain, not just the pretty picture when you get to the mountaintop. And anybody that has been on a hike, okay, I'm from Brooklyn, so I can't say, that's where I was raised, but I can't say I did a lot of mountain climbing, but I have done some mountain climbing. And the thing about it is, it's gritty, it's dirty when you're getting up there. You're sweating, you need to drink your water, you might get frustrated, you might get pissed halfway up, but it is so worth it when you reach the top. That, like I said, I just built my brand on the messiness of life and the transparency. And sometimes people think like messiness is always has to be like gossip, or messiness has to just be ratchet. Messiness is life. Messiness is stumbling. Messiness is, okay, well, I can't quit my job because I'm a mom and I got 3 kids, so how am I going to make this work in spite of what is happening? You are more than equipped for whatever lies ahead. All right, you are not your situation, you're a mind on a mission.
I love it. Thank you so much for everything you provided. And ladies, please make sure you guys check Jen out. She is a wealth of knowledge. If you watch her on the reels, if you watch her on the stories, her social media is fly. So make sure you guys check her out.
Jen_Abans.
And that's Instagram or Facebook?
Yep, that's on Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram and TikTok.
And
Okay,
Facebook,
ladies.
you could just type in Jen Abans, you'll find me there too. So let's connect.
Let's do it, you guys. And I hopefully you guys gained some information from this episode. Until next week, I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll talk to you then.
Thank you.